At the time of this video, the World Series is about to begin, and Carlos Correa will be playing shortstop when the first pitch is thrown. When the final pitch is thrown, Correa will be just paperwork away from becoming a free agent. Correa has said that he won't negotiate with the Astros until the end of the season and hasn't ruled out returning to Houston, but he's also hinted that he wants to play in pinstripes. The Yankees need a shortstop, and coming off of a disappointing season, signing Correa might be the big-ticket item the Yankees are looking for to re-engage fans. It could also be Corey Seager, but that's another video. Correa is interesting because he's not only a terrific offensive player, but a terrific defensive player as well. And since it's only money, he wouldn't cost you any prospects in a potential trade, though you'd be giving the Astros a draft pick. He was part of the infamous 2017 Astros team, but other players have moved on and played well since then. George Springer missed much of the season for the Toronto Blue Jays, but was outstanding when he was able to take the field. His spray chart shows that he hits the ball to all fields, and his baseball savant rankings show that he hits the ball hard, he gets to a ton of balls on defense, and he's got pretty good command of the strike zone up there. His walk percentage is in the 84th percentile of the league. He, of course, has power, but I wouldn't call him a power hitter. His career high in home runs was this season with 26. That's 2 less than Brett Gardner's career high. I could even see his power numbers going down in Yankee Stadium given how deep it is in left field, but maybe not. He does hit the ball well to right field, so I'm sure he'd porch a few baseballs. If the Yankees sign Carlos Correa, they would be set at shortstop for a while, with a never-ending stream of shortstop prospects behind him that could either be shifted to other positions or used as trade pieces. His contract would probably be north of $250 million. I would expect the first offer to be somewhere in the 8-year, $280 million range and be quickly rejected, and the final number would probably end up having to be north of 10 years and $300 million or higher, given his star status, a status that could be amplified depending on how well he does in the World Series. If he goes 1 for 20 in the World Series, it could legitimately cost him $20 million. But if he were to, say, win World Series MVP, it could easily net him a lot more money. The Yankees already have some very highly paid players. Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton. Pretty soon you're going to have Aaron Judge on that list. How will other big contracts affect what the Yankees are willing to spend on shortstop? These are all fun questions to ask. Ultimately, I think they're going to end up signing Corey Seager. But I wanted to have another content creator on, Patrick Hennessy of Unhinged Yankees, for a quick discussion on what direction we think the Yankees will go with Carlos Correa. A lot of people on my channel are debating Carlos Correa versus Corey Seager. I think either one of them is an upgrade, and the Yankees should definitely get one of them. I do like the idea of, going with a prospect, but our guys just aren't ready yet. So I like the idea of signing somebody big for a couple of years and then shifting them over to third base or second base, or just shifting the prospects around. Let me get your thoughts on Carlos Correa. I mean, the whole Astros thing, it's going to be expensive. I just wanted to get another content creator's take on it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Like I feel like the Carlos Correa to the Yankees rumors started swirling like while the regular season was still going on, right? And at the time I was kind of like completely opposed to it just because I didn't have a really open mind to the idea at the time, I guess. But now kind of thinking about it more and more, I want Carlos Correa on the Yankees so bad, Derek, simply because there's multiple reasons involved. But I think the main reason is because I want to be the villain again. Like, I want the New York Yankees to be the evil empire. Now, obviously, like going into the offseason, what I really wanted was like a new evil manager as well, kind of like maybe like a Carlos Beltran. Clearly, that wasn't the case. But now you kind of get like the second best option, and you could get Carlos Correa, who's one of the most hated players in the league. And he would no longer be a villain to us because he would be our villain. You know what I mean? So I think if we're kind of debating like Carlos Correa or Corey Seager, while Seager may be a better fit for the Yankees just because he's a lefty and would probably rake at Yankee Stadium, personally, I'd go with Carlos Correa. Am I expecting it to happen? Not necessarily, but I would love it just for the whole villain aspect.
You know what George would have done? He'd have signed them both. He'd have got them both. You'd put one at third base and one at shortstop. Or one 100%. At second and one, I think about the 2017 Astros thing. And in 19, I'm still convinced that there was some buzzer stuff happening. But the fact that they made it this year has honestly, like, I didn't expect to feel this way. It's made me hate them a little bit less because maybe they were just good. You know,
Yeah.
these guys are good hitters. They're good players. And as much as that would like sting for like 5 minutes, like the first time he hit a 3-run home run against Boston to give us the lead in the 8th inning, I'd be over it. I'd be jumping up and down on stream.
Well, you kind of know what it is, right? It's one of those things where you look at all these other players in the league and the ones that we say we hate, right? It's the same guys where we're like, well, if they're not on your team, you hate them, but if they're on your team, you love them. Like a James Karinchak, for example, right? When we face the Indians and he flips out after recording like one strikeout against us, we're like, we hate seeing that on the opposing side, but we'd love that if he were on our team. So I don't know. I think Yankee fans would kind of be opposed. Well, a lot of Yankee fans would be opposed to like signing Carlos Correa if it actually happened at first. But I think as time goes on and they see the value that he'd be able to provide to the team, I think that they'd be down for it. And I think also what a lot of people kind of rope into the Carlos Correa potential acquisition is the fact that he wouldn't fit in well with the clubhouse. But I'll tell you one thing. I truly think that Aaron Judge would probably have to approve of a Correa signing, right? Because they did approach him about acquiring Stanton at first. And to be honest with you, Derek, I think that he'd be 100% on board with it. I like, I think that Aaron Judge is just one of those guys who he'll see Carlos Correa as kind of like an improvement for the team, right? He's going to push away all the 2017, 2019 stuff, just like you said, and kind of realize that he would be able to help the Yankees play their best baseball. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he recognizes, I'm sure, as a lot of us do, that he's getting up there. You know, he's going to be in his 30s soon. He's got to start winning, you know, to cement his Yankees legacy. He's already got a good legacy. I mean, he's a great player, but to get a couple of championships is a different kind of animal in New York. And if Carlos Correa can help them do that, then I'm all for it. Now, I don't love the idea of blocking Anthony Volpe, but I've heard he can move over to third base anyway. And he's at a low enough level at the minor leagues where he's still probably got 2 years left, right? 2 years is enough time to learn a new position. You could put him at third base. You can put him at second base. I don't know what's going to happen with Gleyber Torres. I don't know if he's going to rebound and become that guy. I kind of think the 38 home runs was an anomaly, but I kind of feel like he's better than what we saw this year, and he'll get better, you know, in the next couple of years still, because he's still 24 years old. I could see him in 280, 290, maybe 20 home runs and playing solid enough defense at second base. I think he's a staple at second base, but Gio Urshela, his production was not great at third base. So I could see the Yankees in a year or so transitioning to another, you know, third baseman, whether it's a prospect or moving, you know, one of these guys, these Correa or Seager over to third. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you talk about Gleyber, and he kind of started to come back to life after moving over to second base. So I do have higher expectations for him going into 2022. But I think my main concern about like the Yankees infield right now is the fact that they might just stand pat at the offseason and kind of go into the 2022 season with kind of like the infield options that they have now, right? Because it's not like the Yankees necessarily have any holes in the infield currently, right? Because in technical terms, they could rock with what they have now. You could go into the season with Luke Voit as your first baseman, Gleyber Torres as your second baseman, Gio Urshela as your shortstop, and DJ LeMahieu as your third baseman. So it's kind of just like if the Yankees truly wanted to and they didn't want to kind of, like you said, maybe block Anthony Volpe or block Oswald Peraza at shortstop or third base, they could kind of go what they have now. And I think that would be probably the worst case scenario, but I wouldn't put it past them. Like, would you?
I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't think that they want to go with Gio at shortstop for a full season just because of how much he was banged up this year. Shortstop's a little bit tougher of a position. Third base is the hot corner. The ball gets on you quicker, but you've got to cover a lot more ground at shortstop. There's a lot more room for hammies or diving in both directions. There's the collision at, second base potentially on a double play ball. So I think the Yankees, as Brian Cashman said, are going to really look hard at shortstop. The question is the cost of doing business to hand out one of these gigantic contracts, or are they going to try and be savvy? Would they try and, trade for somebody who's in the last year of a contract?
Don't say it, Derek. I really thought that once I started I thought you were going to be like, maybe they go with an Andrelton Simmons, because that's been the name that has been scaring me in the most. Derek,
I don't want
I'd be lying to you if I told you that I didn't have nightmares every single night about Andrelton Simmons to the Yankees on a 1-year deal, because I could so see it happening. It's one of those like low risk, high reward kind of things where like we wake up one morning, Andrelton Simmons to the Yankees on a 1-year deal, but Brian Cashman says that does not take them out of the Corey Seager or Carlos Correa race.
And then a week later, they sign with fucking Boston or something, right?
Bro, that's my biggest fear, and it's something that I see the most possible of happening. It's horrifying.
Yeah. Look, Simmons was great, and he's great to watch on defense. And that is exactly the type of move that Brian Cashman will make. He'll say, this is insurance in case we can't get somebody else. But then his offer to somebody else is going to be a low ball offer, which they'll never take. You know, he'll play chicken with another team and somebody will sign him. I could see Correa going back to Houston if nobody else wants to give him that cash, because Houston wins. I mean, as an athlete, it's got to be appealing to be in a place that's going to be competitive every season. So, and it's a dome. It's, you know, you're out of the elements down there in Houston. And it's, you know, comfortable ballpark for him to play on. The fans love him there. He's got that short left field porch. Going to Yankee Stadium, where it's 399 feet to left center field, is a little bit intimidating for a right-handed hitter. Ultimately, what's your prediction for shortstop next year? Opening day, who's playing shortstop?
Now, is this like what I think is going to happen, or what I want to happen? What
do you think is going to happen? If you had to bet, you know, every dollar in your bank account on a specific player?
If I had to bet every dollar in my bank account on a specific player being the Yankees opening day starting shortstop in 2022, Derek, I think I'm going with Andrelton Simmons. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, Derek, genuinely, I think that's who we're gonna see at opening day shortstop. Like that. All jokes aside, that's what I'm feeling.
I think ultimately it's Corey Seager. I think it's like a 5 or 6 year deal with the understanding that he's going to play shortstop for 1 year and then slide over to third base and make room for somebody else in a year or two, whether it's Peraza or Cabrera or Volpe. I'm of the mind that Volpe, he could skyrocket next year. I mean, he dominated so much in the minor leagues this year that if he has a massive season at AA for the first half, you could see him in AAA by the end of the year. And then the next year, he's a contender. He's your first call up if something happens, right? So I think it's within the realm of possibility, but I still think Seager's your guy next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think the only thing that might kind of turn the Yankees away from Seager is the fact that he's not like the best defensive shortstop. You know what I mean? So I feel like if they are going to go long-term with a shortstop, they might... Listen, I might just be using my own personal bias here. I'd go with Carlos Correa over Corey Seager. I wouldn't be upset over Seager, but I think overall player-wise, I think Correa would just be a better fit for the Yankees.
He's a better defender for sure, and the Yankees do need to get better on defense. If I'm writing the checks, like if I was in Brian Cashman's position, or, you know, better yet, Hal Steinbrenner's position, I would sign Carlos Correa just because, you know, he improves you on both ends of the ball. He's younger. There's other places you can get better, like where you can get left-handed bats. You could sign Kyle Seager. And, you know, he didn't hit for much of an average to play third base. If you wanted to, he hit 35 home runs. I don't know how he is on defense, but you know, that's an option you could go. You could sign him as a bat off the Yeah, you could sign him as a bat off the bench. Kind of I would rather have Kyle Seager than Rougned Odor. Wouldn't you?
Sure, but like using that logic, like Odor's going to be back. Like, there's zero doubt in my mind that he's going to be back next year.
Yeah,
so
I think he'll be back. Fans are over him, but like I think that's a Cashman thing. He doesn't give up on guys. I think they're banking on him to improve. If you look at what Didi did his first year with the Yankees, it wasn't great, but then he improved a lot like that second year. I saw a lot of the same signs in Odor where he had some really good games, you know, in the second half of the season. He didn't look quite as lost. We saw him go down the left side a few times where he waited on that ball and didn't try and jump out of his shoes, but he also looked extremely lost at times.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like you kind of look at Rougned Odor. None of us want him to be like the everyday third baseman, but that's what it turned into. It's the same thing as mostly like every other guy on the Yankees bench, right? You look at Brett Gardner, who's probably going to be coming back this year. No one is really complaining about him being a bench bat. We just don't want him to be the starting center fielder. And those are two things, him in center field and Odor at third base, are two things that we saw consistently throughout the 2021 season. So I think that's why everyone could be like a little bit nervous as far as like them going on the bench going into the season, you know?
What year hat is that? I saw you got the World Series hat on.
96.
Dude,
96.
today is today the day they won in 96? It was one of these last couple days. It was, yeah, I feel like I just saw the anniversary on Twitter.
I wasn't alive, so I'm not too sure.
Dude, I'll never forget that. That was such an amazing series, and it was such a likable. You would have loved that team, man. You should rent the World Series video or whatever. Pat, appreciate it. Good luck with your channel this winter. Are we doing the 643 DP for the winter meetings? I think we should. We should do like a couple of marathon sessions, like at the winter meetings. Do like a 3-hour session and just like cover everything that comes. I don't know about 24-hour, man, but I can't keep up with that. I can't hang. But
48.
Next, 48's a bigger number. All right, man. I appreciate that. Have a good off season. Hopefully, we'll get this collective bargaining thing wrapped up and we'll get some news going.
Peace, Derek.